Hey guys, welcome to the Simplify Your Life podcast. It's Coach Simona, and I'm glad you decided to tune in. What's up, guys? In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to stop taking things personally. But before we jump into it, I quickly want to say Happy 2019. I hope this year is the best year in your life so far. And I quickly want to thank you all for supporting this channel, for listening to my podcast, for sending me those nice messages, and taking the time to write a comment. This truly means the world to me, guys. Now let's get into my tips on how to stop taking things personally. I know we've all heard the saying that every day is a gift, but for the person with anxiety, any day can turn into a true nightmare. And if you're taking things personally, chances are you're having a lot of negative thoughts on a daily basis. The bad news is that it will take you time to change the way you see the world. But the good news is that you definitely can, and right now you're taking the first step. So my first tip on how to stop taking things personally is to realize that it is not about you. This is probably one of the most significant realizations that I've come to. The best part about it is that you get to the point where you actually want to hear the other person out. When you develop higher consciousness, you suddenly stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about others. You develop empathy for the other person's feelings and try to put yourself in their shoes. Let's say your spouse comes home from work and snaps over the fact that you forgot to buy milk. Instead of defending yourself or raising your voice to put them down, remain calm and ask them politely, "Is there something else on your mind? You sound stressed." Often people who start a fight are angry at something else, but don't or can't admit it to themselves. By asking questions, you can help them focus in the right direction. Of course, if someone is being outright violent in your presence, you don't have to sit there and listen. But that is a completely different story that I'm going to cover in another episode. Now let's get to tip number 2. Don't overthink it. People who have negative thought patterns tend to be overly sensitive and have the tendency to worry too much about what other people think of them. It's very important to learn to let go of overanalyzing everything, because it will drain your energy. People say rude things all the time, but their words don't define who you are. They show who they are. What I advise you to do is to keep a journal of your negative thoughts and watch out for the repetitive ones. It's important to not judge yourself for thinking them, but to see them for what they are, just thoughts. Now let's get to tip number 3. Accept your emotions. There's a wonderful quote by Wayne Dyer. It goes like this: "I cannot always control what goes on outside, but I can always control what goes on inside." When someone says something offensive to you, you have two choices. You either accept it or you don't. For example, somebody calls you stupid. If you start defending yourself, this means that you accept their opinion of you. If you refuse to accept it, you will simply ignore it or tell them that you won't accept that kind of behavior. If they continue to say hurtful things, tell them that you will continue this conversation when you're both calm and leave. And I'm not talking about internet trolls here. I'm talking about real people, real conversations in real life. And remember, it's okay to feel hurt sometimes. This doesn't make you broken or weak. When you realize that you have feelings of sadness, fear, or anger, just don't resist them. Simply let the sensation pass. The only way to get rid of negative emotions is by accepting them. My next tip is to learn to forgive. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools to let go of negative emotions. When you realize that people make mistakes and they don't necessarily want to hurt you, you will stop taking things so personally. The best way to move on after a tough situation is to forgive and forget. After all, life is too short to waste it like this. And remember, forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you and your inner peace. And my last tip is to work on your self-confidence. Self-confidence is essential for your overall happiness with life. When you let other people bring you down, it's a sign that you are not being very good to yourself. Loving yourself is about accepting every part of who you are, including your worst moments and biggest flaws. If you feel unworthy of love and have low self-esteem, the whole world could seem like a threat to you. But there is one thing that you should remember. You don't have to do anything to win someone's approval or attention. And if you want to go more in depth on how to stop comparing yourself to others, there is a video on my YouTube channel. I'll link it down below for you guys. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, please like it. And subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on my weekly podcast episodes. I love you guys, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.